Thanks for coming back to Parma Fan Custom Woodworking. Today we're going to take this 4x4, 8-foot long piece of treated lumber and turn it into a mailbox post. You can find these online at different shops, different places. They run, you can find them pretty basic ones at your Home Depots or Lowe's, big box stores. You can find them on there for $30 or so. We're going to take this one and turn it one that you can find on like Wayfair or some of those other sites. They're going to run you more like $200 or $300. So we're going to turn this one into that. A lot of them are pretty tall. This one I'm going to make it a little bit shorter. I'm going to cut my main beam at 54 inches because where I live, the snow plows will take your mailbox post out and they don't care. So if they take it out that way, I put a post in the ground, or you put concrete in the ground and put a standoff on it, and then what it'll do is it'll allow you to change this out easier. So that's how I'm going to build it today. Why don't you come along for the ride and let's get this thing built. Come on. Alright guys, I thought I had my camera running, but for some reason I didn't. So what I did is I cut these down. So I went from 8 foot and I cut a 54-inch piece. That's going to be the main post coming up from the ground. 28-inch piece, that's going to be the part that comes across that holds your mailbox. And then a 14-inch piece that's going to go diagonally across supporting them. So we'll go ahead and get some of these measured up and get the marks put on them, and then go ahead and start cutting them up. So in this piece, this is going to be the bottom side towards you guys. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure in 1 3/4 of an inch here. I'll come up 1 3/4 of an inch. And then I'll go ahead and line this up. That'll give me a 45-degree cut. Somebody had mentioned in one of the other videos that I was running with a speed square that part of the deal with a speed square is you don't have to pivot to get 45. They're saying if you pivot this way, it's got 45 there, will give you 45. But the speed square, this is a 45-degree angle, so that's part of the advantage of using it. So, but yeah, that's one way you can do it. But yeah, you mark this, line these two marks up, give you your 45-degree cut across there. You'll etch it in. So that's there, and then we're gonna go from here. I want to put a couple grooves in here. So from the front of it, I'm going to come back 3.5 inches and 3 7/8. So the one I saw online had some grooves in it, and it gives it a nice added detail. So I'll put them on there, and then we'll come back from the back side back here. I want to put a groove on back here as well. So I'm going to come in 3 inches back here and 3 3/8. And I'll go ahead and put my marks on there as well. I prefer the speed square. I've used it so much that it's my tool of choice for making lines. And then back here I'm going to cut this. I'm going to put a 3/4 inch mark here. And that 3/4 inch mark, I'm going to bevel that all the way across. So this is going, these are going to go, and then up here I'm going to go at 6.5 inches and 10 inches. And I'm going to take this part out. That'll give me my half lap to get it to fit over top of the other board and have them sit right together, go out. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make these lines all the way across all the sides. So I just line my speed square up with the edge of this, and you can put your line across there, and that'll show you where to put your next mark, where you're going to saw the next one at. So this one is only going to go half the length of this board, so I don't want to put it all the way across. So half of the width of the board is 3.5 inches, so that's going to be 1 3/4. So it's 3.5 inches thick, so I'm going to have it cut down to 1 3/4 of an inch. So I'll make my marks there at 1 3/4. And then just follow those all the way around. And here I gotta go down 1 3/4 again for the other side. Alright, so there we got it marked out. We'll take this out, we'll groove these out right here where all the X's are, and angle this one. So there's going to be a 30-degree bevel on here. So we take this one over to the saw and see how we make her out. Alright, so we're going to set the saw up to a 30-degree bevel. So all we do is loosen up the tensioner back here, and then we can set it. I don't know if I can get it where you see in there. 30 degrees on this, and that'll give me a 30-degree bevel on the saw. So then I just go ahead and line her up with my line. Rinse and repeat. Roll her over. And then like that, we have an end cap. It's really on the side hanging off, but. So then I'm gonna miter this other end at 45 degrees. So I'll set this bevel back up to 0. Change my saw here to 45 degrees. Line it up. There's the 45-degree cut on the end. You could do all this with a circular saw, jigsaw. Jigsaw is not going to be a square. Circular saw can do it. It's going to be a little bit tougher just because of the trying to hold it straight and get it to go, but it can be done. You can do all the cutouts with it too. I'm going to do these at a 15-degree bevel. That way it'll help the water shed out of there, and it won't have a point for the water to sit at, hopefully. And it'll give it a little more detail. So we're going to move on to that. So we're going to set this back to 0. I'm going to bevel the saw at 15 degrees. Actually, I think I'm going to set up my depth gauge first. So I only want to go in 3/8 of an inch on here. I don't want to go in very far. I just want enough to have a little bit of detail, but not to go in a ton. So I got to set it up for 3/8 of an inch. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark it right on the end of the board right here. And that way it will give me a depth gauge. Now this is my depth gauge right here. I just flip this up, and then I can tip the saw down, and that's where it's going to stop. So what I need to do is I need to be able to get it to come up and stop closer than that. So I'll turn this down. Alright, so I think I got her set in there just about where I want it. Let's go ahead and see if we can get some of these cut. So I got my depth gauge cut or set. So now I'm going to turn this to a 15-degree bevel. Oh, forgot I need a stop back here. I need something back here so that my bevel will go all the way through to the depth that I'm looking for. Now rotate it, line her up, and do it again. Somebody asked in one of the comments why I run this the way I do, why I pull it like that, and to be honest with you, that's just the way I've always done it. Just what feels comfortable to me, and that's why I do it that way. So I'm going to rotate this around, move my stop to the other side over here, change my bevel angle, and then I'll go ahead and cut the other side, and that should bring that all right out of there. I'm not going to change the bevel angle, I'm changing the side. Alright, there's that first bevel. So we'll go ahead and do the other one on the front, and then we'll cut this out in the middle. Alright, there's the other side. Now we have to set this up, get the half lap out of there. So I'll bring this back up to 0. I'll readjust my depth gauge. A little cut off section here, so I can adjust the depth. I'm gonna roll this baby back out. Alright, that's where I want it right there. Do it the same way. You can do this with a circular saw, speed square. Set the speed square on here, run your circular saw across, get the edge on both sides done, and then just make several repeated cuts to get it squared up or loosened up in there and knock those pieces out, and then you can take them out with a chisel or you can run the saw over it. I'll show you how I'm going to do it on here, and it's basically the same thing with a circular saw, you just do it different, a little bit different. The same but different, yeah, that's right. Same thing, I'm going to need my stop behind here. So I got to have a stop block back here so that I can get all the way through it without having a circular upcut on the back side. Alright, so we got it trimmed out like that, and you can kind of just go in here and bust these right out. Alright, we got that cleaned out. Now we go ahead and test fit it. We might have to make a few more. I just want to get it pretty close, and then we can do a test fit on there. And if I have to, I'll take off a little bit more. I just want it to be pretty tight. Alright, so we'll go ahead and try and test fit this on here. Still a little tight, so I'm going to take another little run off from there until I can run it up and get it where I want it just about. Ooh, that's close. Just a little, well, just a little bit more. If you've ever done any molding work, you try to take a little more, next thing you know. There we go. Alright, so now I'll have to get this one half lapped, and that'll be done. But this one, this piece, it's all set. So let's go ahead and get this piece ready, marked up and ready to go. Alright, so this is going to be our top of our post. I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to do a 3/4 inch bevel on this. I'm going to come down 3/4 of an inch and do a 30-degree bevel on it. And that'll match the end of that one. Come down here and I'll mark it at 3/4 of an inch. Take the speed square, that line on, and then we'll get all the lines on this side, and then I'll transfer them all the way around. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down at 2 inches, and then I'm going to come down to 2 3/8. I'll put a line here, and that's going to be another one of those beveled lines. And then I want to come down to 3 inches and 3 3/8. So it'll give me those two sections. And then in my half lap, I'm going to come down 12 inches and 15 1/2. So the United States Postal Service recommends that the top of your mail, or the bottom of your mailbox, be between 41 and 45 inches from the ground. So with having this post at 54 inches, leaves me 12 inches at the top. That's going to put me 42 inches at the top of that line from the ground level. So even if I have a post or I have a standoff that brings me up a little bit more, I'm still within that range for the United States Post Office. They want between 41 and 45 inches from the ground. Alright, so extend my lines across here, and then this one has got to come down 1 3/4 inches, just like the other one, because we're going to half lap them. And this side again, we'll mark it at the 1 3/4 line, which should give us halfway, and voila, just like that. Alright, we'll go back over to the other saw, get her set up. Alright, there's our 30-degree, turn off our stop. Alright, so there's the end cap there. Now we'll go ahead and set this up to the 15-degree bevel. I have my stop set already for the half lap, so we're going to go ahead and do the half lap on here. Set the stop up so I don't cut all the way through it. Alright, so we got that all gouged out of there. Take off some of these little pieces here, knock them down with a hammer. Do some finishing clean up with the chisel. Alright, I'll test fit it with the other piece. See if they lock right in there. So I might need to run just a little bit more. Bring her out here and test fit it. Nice, nice, nice. Alright, so now we can go ahead and switch this up, do our 15-degree bevels. So we'll have to get the depth set up right. You want to make sure your blade is down all the way, because you want to go to that bottom tooth. Alright, that seems good right there. Alright, there's our bevel set up. Zip, zoop, and zap, and we're almost done with the bevels. Alright, so the bevels are done in that direction. So now we gotta turn it around and do them in this direction. Alright, so there's our top bevels. The top cap bevel The bevel's in here for extra design and extra detail. Half flat. Now all we gotta do is put it together. Actually, not true. We have this little piece. This is gonna be the support piece. So we're gonna cut a 45-degree angle on each end, and then we'll be set. We'll take off our stop, put it back at 0, take our spacer out of there, turn it 45 degrees, go to the longest point. So you're gonna cut from the very tip here back. Just flip her over and do the same thing. Cut it right from the tip. There's that piece. Let's go ahead and assemble this. Alright. So we got that put in. Make sure your bevel is going down, obviously. I guess you could have it flipped over the other way, but I'll make sure your bevel's down to the ground. I'm going to use 3-inch construction screws for it. These are an exterior grade screw. I'll make sure I use those just in case, because it's going to be outside, obviously. There's always something that comes up, Now, one of the nice things about building them on your own is you can choose. Like, some people like this to be at like 16 inches tall. I don't like them that tall. I guess if you're going to have a bigger mailbox, most mailboxes aren't that big. So you can go with a little bit smaller on the top. And then you can use an 8-footer. If you want it bigger, you have to go to a 10 or 12-footer. But either one's going to work. But yeah, that's one of the nice things. Then you can put these designs any way you want. You can cut it how you want. You can really do anything you want. And this is, you don't have to put this bottom piece in. I mean, you're really not supporting a whole lot of weight. You can put this bottom piece in here, and you don't have to put it in here. You can put a hang down off here with your name on it, your house number. You can do anything you want once you do them on your own. So that's one of the beauties about it. But yeah, let me go ahead and get this one put in here. When drilling on an angle like that, sometimes you just start going in straight and then just tip it. You don't have to pre-drill those or countersink them. They usually will hold up pretty well on their own. So it's just a preference thing. Flip her over. Set one right through the middle right here, kind of lock her in. I gotta get a different countersink. Voila! There we are, guys. Hey guys, if you appreciate what you saw, you liked it, if you got anything out of it, I'd appreciate it if you drop me a subscribe down below, a like, and a comment. Let me know what I'm doing good, what you think I can do better, and I greatly appreciate it. But here is the finished mailbox post. A lot of detail. You can look them up online. This same style online. Some of them are cedar. If you get a cedar one, they're going to run you $200, $250, $300. But the same design, just like this. So I have my actual record time on this is 1 hour and 9 minutes. So I've built this thing in 1 hour and 10 minutes. And it's it's not difficult. You can do it. You could do it with a circular saw and a speed square. It's just a couple drills, and it looks nice. All right, guys, I appreciate it. You guys have a great day. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.